Welcome everyone. We will get started in about another minute or so, maybe a little less. See if we can get everyone on their videos.
Hey, there she is.
Hey, Carrie.
Hey, Carrie.
You're muted.
All right, she is unmuted now. It is 11 o'clock, so let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to Virtual Conservation Live. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. It's the last day of Virtual Conservation Live. If you're a returning customer, welcome back. We have a couple of great speakers today, but before we get to that, there's a reminder. This event is taking place of Conservation Field Day, our annual place-based learning event for Tippecanoe County fourth graders, where they get to do hands-on conservation learning. Obviously, we can't do that right now with the coronavirus, so we've taken it virtual. So we have fourth graders here on the Zoom, and then we have likely members of the public joining us on Facebook Live. We will try to get to all questions on both Facebook and on Zoom, so bear with us. Feel free to put questions in either the comments on Facebook or in the Q&A box here on Zoom. Just a reminder for those on Zoom, the Q&A box is for questions only, either answering the panelists' questions or asking questions of the panelists for Monica and I to pass on. Please do not use that to chat with your friends or create side discussions or get off topic in any way. I think that's all for housekeeping. I'm your host, Ben Wegleitner from the Tippecanoe County Partnership for Water Quality. I think all of our fourth graders probably know Miss Christopher.
Hi there.
All right, without any further ado, Bryan and Carrie, take it away.
Well, I'm Bryan Forkner. I'm the operations superintendent here at American Water. I've been in the water field for close to 30 years. So I've been doing this for a little bit. My responsibilities here is to oversee the production distribution system and make sure we're providing you guys safe water to drink. So that's what we do. I'll let Carrie introduce herself.
Oh, she's muted.
Carrie, you're muted.
You're not muted. Your microphone just isn't working.
We can fix that.
We can do some troubleshooting. It's okay. Bryan, if you want to keep going, we can.
Okay. How about say I can call her too and get her voice that way if we need to.
Okay. She and I will try to troubleshoot on the side, and then we'll go to that if we need to.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start off talking about the Tays, where we get our water from, and basically us, Lafayette, Purdue Water. There's other communities that gets water from it as well. So I'm going to bring a picture up so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. If you're like me, you're visual, so you like to see what I'm talking about. So I should have a picture of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Virginia, and Kentucky up there, if everybody can see that. Basically, the Tays, it's right through here. It's called the Tays Valley, Tays River, several different terms for it, Tays Aquifer. You know, when you think river, you think of the Wabash, of the water flowing down the stream. However, this is not that way. It was a prehistoric river. It's roughly like 100 feet to, I believe, 500 feet is the depth of it. Basically, we use that as our aquifer. We put our wells in, and that's where we pump the water from. I know a lot of people around this area thinks the water comes from the Wabash River. We don't utilize the Wabash for that. We are a ground system. I know Lafayette is as well. It just makes it a lot better, safer. You don't have your spills and stuff like that coming down. The only bad part is if it gets contaminated, it's a little bit harder to clean up. We'll focus in more of our area of the Tays. You can see right here is Lafayette. The good part about the Tays, this area here, it does widen up. It's probably one of the widest parts of the Tays. So the good news, it gets a lot of us in there to get water. They use the term, from what I've been reading on this, it's a unlimited supply resource. I never believed that. So there's always a limit somewhere.
Yeah.
Basically, though, it runs from Ohio through Indiana to Illinois. Like I said, it's a prehistoric river. And again, I'm a visual person, so if you can kind of picture this, I'll probably go to extremes on it, but it gives a great visual. If you think of the Grand Canyon, how deep it is. When the glaciers came in, it filled that river up. So, you know, you still have bedrock, stuff like that. So that's the visual I can give. Like I said, it's probably an extreme visual, but it makes sense when you think of it that way. It's interesting, if you ever get a chance to Google on it, because this was like one of the major rivers back in the prehistoric days. I didn't know that. So since I've been doing my research, it's very interesting. So that's how we're going to start. This is where we pull our water from. Again, make sure you didn't know it's not from the Wabash River. It's from the Tays. And then Carrie's going to go through, walk you through our equipment, facilities, and then also explains our treatment process to you. So I'll relieve the sharing.
We still can't quite hear Carrie, so we're having some audio problems. Go ahead and call her if you think that'll work.
We'll fix that real quick.
Okay.
She's loud enough you can hear, I guarantee you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
How's
Awesome.
that?
Well, I don't know what's going on tonight.
Are you still there? Or did I hang up on you?
Oh, we lost her. I think we were getting an echo from that anyway because of the double audio. Try it again. Try it again, and we'll see how it goes. If not, we'll adapt. We can adjust.
Yeah.
Is that
There.
better?
Better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to pull up a quick picture here of what our wells look like, what we are pumping out of the Taze aquifer with. So this is a picture of one of our wells there at Happy Hollow. Well pumping spans is very different. If any of you guys have your own wells at home, you could be pumping 20 gallons a minute. Some of my communities, yep, hang on. How about now?
Better.
Okay, well, I can't hear you, so just type me. So some of my communities actually, their wells will pump anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 gallons of water a minute. So if you think about that, a milk jug is a gallon of milk. So that's 1,000 gallons of water coming out of that ground at any given time when our wells are kicking on. So as far as testing on our wells, we do bacteriological testing on a monthly basis to ensure that our wells aren't pulling any sort of bacteria up in them. And then we also do chemical testing. We will do certain volatile organic compounds, synthetic organic compounds on our wells on a routine basis, as well as just like iron, manganese, and those types of things. If you're looking for our water quality reports, actually, which if you have like a softener or a filter system at your house, our water quality reports can help you really dial those systems in so that you can set them up appropriately. So if you go to IndianaAmericanWater.com, you can download those reports for your specific area if you're interested in seeing that kind of information. Okay, so moving on from our well, we go into what we call an aerator. And let me pull that picture up. Apparently I closed it.
Well, we have a second, Brian. How do we know that our water's clean, or what do you do to purify it?
When we go through the filter process, we will filter the water. We filter out all the iron, manganese. We do that. We also then will do a little bit of chlorine. We use a hypochlorinated chlorine here, which we generate our own chlorine, so it's not chlorine gas in here. It makes it a lot safer for the community to do that way. So we'll put that in for some disinfectant. We shoot that out, and then like Carrie was talking about there for just a brief second was the testing we do. So we test the water every single day. We test, I believe it's like 31 samples through the community on a monthly basis for the state. And that shows that there's no bacteria, harmful stuff, or anything that can hurt anybody to drink. So we're constantly doing that. That's how we know it's safe. You can see me right now. I've got my water right here drinking it, so.
So are the pumps
many
running
wells?
all the time, or do they just run at certain times, or?
The way the system's set up, basically, we'll go into the distribution system because that's what creates our plants to come on. So runs off hydraulics. So if you look at our water tanks, once they get to a certain level, we have the pumps to come on. That goes with that. Yeah, because a lot of people see a water tower, they think it's just for fire use. Well, it is, but it's not completely. The main thing that is for pressure, and then also it does give us if the plant goes down, and then there is actually more up there for storage for fires. So that's how we do that. So basically that tower will get to a certain point. It tells our plant to come on, and it's a domino effect at this point. Plant comes on, it starts filling the tower up. We have a clear well outside here. When it starts dropping down, then it kicks a well on. So like I said, the domino effect just keeps on going. We just keep everything filled. So it's just like turning on your faucet and filling your cap.
Awesome.
How many wells does American Water have?
We have a total of 6 out at our Davis Ferry plant, which is on 9th Street. And then we have 3 here on Happy Hollow. Our system's divided into 2 different systems. Basically, our Happy Hollow system here kind of feeds like the downtown. And we always say below the hill here on River Road and State Street. We feed that. Our Davis Ferry plant feeds what we call the high side. So basically, halfway through Purdue's campus, rest of the county that we serve here, and rest of West Lafayette. That's our biggest plant. And we generally produce right around, this is kind of staggering if you think about it, 5 million gallons a day. So that's the usage per day. So put that in perspective, we're pumping water. It takes 700 gallons a minute to produce 1 million gallons of water a minute or an hour.
Wow.
So, or a day, I'm sorry. So you can see those wells are running pretty good.
Are all of your wells electric, and how do you defend against power outages, things like that? Like what's the backup plan if the electricity goes out and then the pump is down? Is a pump down?
Great question. Everything runs off electric for us. We do have standby generators that runs off diesel. We all have an automatic transfer switch. So if we do lose power, that generator comes on automatically. We do get an alarm, and I'll bring that up here shortly and kind of show you guys that our SCADA system that shows us, what's going on and throughout the system and stuff like that. So it's really neat process that we do. I know Monica likes to bring kids out every once in a while. We do field trips. So if you guys would ever like to do a field trip, get a hold of her. Put and plug it for you, Monica, to get them kids out here. So
Yeah. Is Carrie ready?
Yeah, I have the picture now.
Yeah. All right, go ahead and share. We were just filling time.
Okay. So this is what we call an aerator. What we do is we pump the water from the wells into this aerator system. And the water falls from the top of this aerator down to the bottom. It goes through a detention tank, and it'll hit different material to make the air go into the water. Also, we have blowers on some of our systems that'll actively blow air into the water to increase the dissolved oxygen. This helps us have iron and manganese fall out of suspension so we can later filter it. So the top there, that metal piece, what you see there is the actual aerator. And then underneath of it, we have a detention tank. And then underneath that, that bottom piece is actually the filter system. So it goes from the aerator to the detention tank and then to the filter system. After that, it goes through our system to a couple of different places. So the first stop, and I'm going to just go ahead and share this, is the inside of our filters. Now, West Lafayette, especially at the Happy Hollow plant, is pretty unique in that you can actually walk into the filter area, whereas in other places, they're just kind of like these big submarine-looking things that sit inside of our plant. But these you can actually walk into. We have raw water coming in. It's filtered through the filter, and the media that we have in the filter is anthracite. And then occasionally we'll have to backwash these. So what that means is we take water and we reverse the flow on the filter, so it cleans the filter. Brian, do you have anything to add to that?
No, you did a good job with the aerator, though. Kind of think of the aerator. It's got plates up there, and when the water comes in through the pipe, it breaks it down to rain droplets. So if you're close to an aerator,
Yeah.
you will actually sound like it's raining. It's really neat. Once you get, you'll be noticing here soon when it gets hot and humid outside, if you look at the tanks, especially if you see our ground storage tank here at Happy Hollow, you can actually see the sweat line, what we call it, because the humidity and stuff's hot outside and the water's a lot cooler inside. So you'll actually see the darkness of the tank compared to the lightness of the tank. So it's kind of neat to see things like that.
What is the average depth of wells for this?
Our wells up here, we're right around 150 to 200 feet deep.
Okay.
And again, we're in the Tays, so the Tays starts about 100 foot, so we got to get in there a little bit further. But that's all right.
It's very different. If you are up north, you could get to water within 25 to 50 feet. And then southern Indiana, you're more 200 to 250 feet. So it's a wide range of what the depth is until you get to the water.
Awesome. We had another, oh yeah. Do you guys see a lot more demand for water right now with more hand washing or anything, or you don't really see the difference there?
Believe it or not, since campus closed down, we have a lot of student housing over there. So our water limit or usage has dropped, actually.
Oh, interesting. So maybe the difference between college town or active life versus kind of stay at home and
yes,
not much water use on the whole.
Right. Yeah, like some of our other companies that we've seen, and I say other American Water properties we have, because we're not just West Lafayette. We've got like 23 different properties in the state. Some of them, they have actually gone up. Most of them we have dropped because, also think of it this way, restaurants are closed. So they're not in there doing their dishes and stuff like that. People are eating from home, using less water. Right now we can see our trend going back up because this would put us in the normal state per se, because when campus goes out, our drops down. And then when the summer comes along, irrigation comes back up and picks us back up. So we're doing that transition period right now.
I got a big philosophical, go ahead, Monica.
So on an average, how many gallons of water does that average family use? A family of 4, let's say, on average, how many gallons of water do they use a day?
A day. So let's take...
or let's just say one person. How many gallons does one person use daily?
And that was a good trick question. I don't know who answered that or asked that question, but that was a good one. Usually I always go off monthly, so that's why I'm in my head figuring real quick. On a monthly basis, a family of 4 is about 8,000 gallons of water. So let's take that divided by 4. That takes us to 2. So if we do 2,000 gallons a month, divide that by 30. What is that?
Your math.
I got a calculator for that.
It's a live quiz. The question.
We're going to get some math in here.
It's not working.
Yeah.
Well, that was a trick question. That was a very, very good question.
Well, Brian finds the calculator app on his phone. I got a big philosophical question for both of you. All right, Brian's got the answer. Go ahead.
66.
66 gallons a day?
66 gallons a day. Now you got to figure that's using the bathroom and so forth as well, not just drinking it. So.
Okay. Is it possible to run out of water, either in the Tays or like, what is the status of our fresh water, let's say in Indiana?
Okay, Indiana, I would say we're pretty good. We're not bad. I know, like, if you go out west, California, places like that, it's not good out there because of the droughts and so forth. You know, like with Indiana, we do have the quote unquote the seasons. You have your fall, your rain time, like we're getting into now, coming out of in the spring. We have snow, so all that comes back and replenishes aquifer for us around here.
So it recharges our groundwater supply, so that cycle kind of naturally filters back down into the groundwater, into the Tays aquifer, and then we have water to pump again. And that's not something the case out west or in different parts of the world, right?
Exactly. So that helps us out. If you Google the hydraulic cycle, that's a good thing to look at. It talks about how the aquifers get refilled and stuff like that. Carrie, you might add to that. I know you're a little bit more with other communities around here.
Yeah, I would say Indiana probably, it would be a very bad day if we ran out of water. We would not be the first ones to run out of water. But as far as other parts of the area, I know like people in, Australia have timers on their showers and they're only allowed to take a certain time in the shower. Whereas in California, you have water rights, and it depends on when you were built and how much money you have. Depends on how much access you have to water. So here we're very lucky, but in other areas, not so much. So I think we kind of take it for granted here in Indiana. It always irritates me, when you're driving down the street and irrigation systems are set automatically and it's pouring down rain and you still have irrigation systems going off. I guess it's a double-edged sword because, we're selling water, but it's kind of useless to sell water in the middle of a monsoon, right?
So do you track, for each pump, how many gallons each pump uses?
Yes. We actually have to do that for the state, for DNR. There's a yearly report we have to send out. And basically we do it per month, how much each well uses. And then about January 15th, we see this report come in that we got to have filled out by March. So
filled out by first quarter.
So for Purdue, what's their average use? And then when they leave, what's it drop to? What are the gallons there? Okay. You have to be real accurate.
For us, when Purdue leaves, we lose probably right around 2 million gallons a day. So that usually puts us about the 3 million gallon range. So when Purdue's in, we're about 5 mil. And then when the irrigation comes on, like I said, that makes up for Purdue. We go back up to the 5 mil. I'll give you an example. I used to work for the city of Westfield. And this is kind of crazy because I'm still trying to adjust in my mind because this is what I was always accustomed to. In a normal use, we used about 5 million gallons of water daily, When the irrigation season came in, it was nothing to see our usage go up to 10 million, 5 million overnight because of irrigation systems. And I'm still not used to that here because it's like we do that little cycle. People leave, it goes, so we stay the same. So it's very interesting on how that stuff can work. Like you said, the usage and it all depends on the people using the water.
I got a good question for you.
Important too that Purdue has their own water system as well. So Purdue itself runs off of wells, and then we we deliver water to the outskirts of Purdue. It still affects us because we have students that come and go again out of the housing development, but Purdue provides its own water to the actual campus.
What is hard water? People hear that term all the time, but can you clarify what that means? Hard water versus softened water, things like that?
Yep, hard water, basically, again, the easiest way to put it is calcium, limestone. So if you go any place in the state of Indiana, guess what's below us? It's usually limestone or something of that nature. Look at your dishes. If you have a hard water, you're going to see the white spots over your dishes. Softening, especially since we're groundwater, it's going to be hard, okay? Now, if you go to like up northwest Gary area like that, they pull from Lake Michigan. So that's the surface water. Surface water is going to be a little bit softer. The calcium levels are not going to be as high. That's why you see a lot of people put softeners in their house. They'll use an ionic exchange, which is salt. soften their water that way. That's a whole different category to talk about there, but it'll definitely take out the calcium, manganese, a little bit of iron as well, and then softens that water down. Now, the key of that, you don't get your water too soft because you'll make it acidic. So if you kind of remember about like Flint, Michigan a little bit, where it leaches, if it gets too acidic, it can leak out lead and so forth. With older homes, that would be something I would be concerned about. Carrie, something you want to add to that?
So here's a good question. So we get our water from a well. Is that from a different source?
More than likely, it probably is. It will depend on how deep their well is, because there are pockets of water in between, or maybe like a smaller aquifer above the Tays. For example, I live in White County, and my well, I believe, is probably maybe 50 feet deep. So I know I'm not hitting the Tays. I think Carrie said that their cabin or something, it was like hand dug and like 10 or 15 feet deep, if I remember correctly on that.
Yeah, we have a 17-foot well.
Wow.
So I know I'm just drinking surface water.
And, you know, remember, you know, when you do the, you look at your aquifers and we talk about the recharge, you want it to go down through the ground because that's a natural filter, using the dirts, the sands, the rocks. You know, Carrie kind of talked about that with the filter a little bit, but that's exactly what our filters are made of. It's the anthracite, it's gravel, sand, and we just reenact what Mother Nature made for us.
When people add chlorine or something else to their private well water to change the odor, is that just a chemical process? Like you said, with hard water, it like binds to the whatever's causing that odor to make it go away, or what's the process on that?
Carrie, I'll let you take that one. You're better at that.
So usually, when people are chlorinating their wells, it's due to bacteria growing in the plumbing or in the well. So what'll happen is iron bacteria will grow, or other forms of bacteria, and it'll set off kind of like a sulfur or rotten egg smell. And to get rid of it, people will scour the interior of their lines by adding chlorine and shocking their well and sending it through their system, and then flushing their system really well to get the chlorine out.
Okay. On average, how much water, I think you guys already said this, but on average, how much water do you guys pump a year for Greater Lafayette area?
Let me pull my calculator out real quick. I can tell you.
Yeah.
It's a lot of zeros.
Oh my gosh.
How about you just tell us how many zeros it is?
Well, how about if I just show you what my well, you can't see it that way. The calculator is 2.64E10. So we're talking billions of gallons in a year.
Wow.
Like I said, we're doing like 5 million gallons a day.
Yeah.
So, you know.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I'm trying it again.
Okay.
Yeah, it still gives me the E. So, okay. But it's in the billions.
That's crazy. That's a lot of water.
Yeah, I mean, just think about, you know, what the community here is, what roughly, I know service, we got like 13,000, so that would be what, about 39,000? Is that correct on population, West Lafayette? Does that sound about right?
Something like that, yeah.
And then when you get Purdue students come in, that's like another 20,000. So you get 50,000 people right there. You can't figure that out. That's quite a bit.
Let's talk about you guys for a little while. We'll start with Carrie. How long have you been doing this again, and what made you want to go into a field like drinking water?
So I've been working with Indiana American Water. This is my third year. But prior to that, I worked in state regulatory. I worked for Indiana Department of Environmental Management. And I did inspections with drinking water systems. I went out and made sure everything was up to code. And if it wasn't, we put plans in place to make sure that those community systems had a plan to bring their stuff up to code. And then I also did security and counterterrorism position, which was a pretty interesting position to be in. You get to hear all the emergency call outs and all that kind of stuff. And you work with the water utility if there is like a power outage or a major shortage. Most recently, we've had masks being passed out from FEMA for our water operators, because we're essential staff. Like, you guys are at home and you want your toilet to flush, you want your water to be able to turn on, and someone's got to be at the plant to do that. So in order to operate safely, FEMA's given us surgical masks to wear out in the field. And the whole process of passing that out, I mean, we had several, I'd say probably 30 to 40,000 masks we had to get out to water utilities. So that was an interesting process. I got involved in the water sector because I wanted to help people, and I wanted to be essential, basically. I wanted to have a job where what I do helps other people, and maybe not, I guess, get credit for it, but I wanted to help other people out.
Here's your credit. Thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you.
And Bryan, you got about a minute. Same question. You said about 30 years you've been doing this. What made you want to get into this?
Fortunately, this one just kind of fell in my lap. Most careers, when I got out of high school, college wasn't in my plans, and I wanted to be a carpenter. So I did that for a few years, and learned real quick that if you didn't own the company, you didn't make no money. So I actually got a position on a water company and started at the very bottom, reading meters and so forth, being a laborer. Fell in love with it. I mean, like Carrie said, it helps so many people, you don't even realize it. Once I started getting into it and then learning, like I said earlier, about a water tower, okay, that's the whole. But now you start learning the hydraulics, the basics behind the water, and how it can help people. Really caught my attention. And after that, like I said, it's been a 30-year trip that I wouldn't trade for anything. As Carrie was saying about essential, you know, we definitely like flying under the radar. The one time you know when we're not here is when your faucet don't work, and that's what we want. So I'm like a cable company. It's out. Someone's calling somebody.
Well, we're very fortunate to have you guys on our team.
So we appreciate that.
Yes. We're gonna wrap up with the question that we've asked all of our guest experts, and that is, what is one thing each of you wishes that everyone in the world knew about water supply or water quality? Carrie, you start, and then Bryan, and we'll wrap up. About 1 minute total.
So the one thing that I would like to pass on is we have nothing to do with your hot water. I get so many complaints and phone calls about people's hot water heater not working, and we don't send you hot water. We just send you the cold water.
Yeah. You got equipment that heats up that water. Got it. And Bryan, how about you?
I guess the route I would go is water's not free. I mean, you always have people saying, you know, water's free. Water is free, definitely. You can go out here to the Wabash and grab your cup anytime you want. It's the safe water. That's what we provide. Safe water, you know. And the neat part about us, kind of going back to even what we enjoy doing, is this is one product that you have to have, because if you don't have it, you don't live. And it's something we make that you ingest. So we have a lot of responsibility, and we take that with pride.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Carrie and Bryan, for joining us. Everyone at home, a little quiet round of applause that Bryan and Carrie can't hear. As a reminder, our final session of Virtual Conservation Live will be at 1 p.m. today. I'm going to pull up the poster If you don't already have the Zoom link, please write it down. Please join us at 1 o'clock for our last session. It is a boating safety lesson from our local conservation officer. He'll tell us all about it, and he'll sneak a preview that next week is Boating Safety Week in Indiana. So please make sure to tune in at 1 o'clock. Thank you again, Bryan and Carrie. It was always good to see you guys, and we will hopefully see everyone else at 1 o'clock today. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.